Focus question. What was the meaning, purpose, and effects of the Intolerable Acts? The Intolerable Acts, also known as the Restraining Acts, were a series of British laws passed by the Parliament of Great Britain. 4 of the acts, which are known as the Boston Act, Administration of Justice Act, Quartering Act, and the Massachusetts Government Act, were aimed at the colonists after the Boston Tea Party accident, while the 5th Act, the Quebec Act, was related to Quebec. This act was seen as a threat to the liberty and expansion of the 13 colonies. The Boston Tea Party and the Boston Massacre were 2 of the reasons why the Intolerable Acts were placed. The Boston Massacre took place when a group of British soldiers that were taking watch in the city fired their guns into a rioting mob of colonists, which killed 5 of them. The Boston Tea Party was a protest led by the colonists in Boston against the taxation of tea. Some of the Sons of Liberty dressed up as Mohawk Indians and raided the ships and dumped 342 crates of tea into the water. When King George III found out about this, he was furious. He immediately worked to pass the act. The purpose of the Boston Port Act was to close the port of Boston until the tea that had been dumped had been paid for. The purpose of the Massachusetts Government Act was to suspend the right of self-government in the colony of Massachusetts. The purpose of the Administration of Justice Act allowed the governor to send rebellious colonists for trial in other colonies or at Great Britain. The purpose of the Quebec Act was to extend the province of Quebec to include territory west towards the Mississippi and the islands in the mouth of St. Lawrence, to pass religious reforms that were greatly favorable to the Catholic majority in Quebec, and denied the right for the colonists to have an elected legislative assembly. The purpose of the Quartering Act was to extend the supply of the previous Quartering Act, giving the governor the right to reinforce arrangement to assure that the colonists supplied the British troops that they were forced to provide housing towards. Letters were sent from all of the 13 colonies via the committees of correspondence discussing the Intolerable Acts. Newspapers were published about the tyranny of the British rule and the Intolerable Acts. The colonists saw the Intolerable Acts as a violation of their constitutional rights. They worked together in their protests against the Intolerable Acts. The other colonies had sympathy with Massachusetts. The American colonists have been banned from crossing the Ohio Territory because of the Proclamation of 1763, but they hoped to eventually be allowed to move towards there. The First Continental Congress was created in Philadelphia on September 5, 1773, to coordinate the colonists' response to the Intolerable Acts.